The suspense.
All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our opening reception tonight. Thank you for joining us. My name is Jenny Donaldson, and I'm the new executive director at Webster Arts. I have a background in art education, gallery exhibitions, and nonprofit management. Also on the call with me is Allana Ross. She is my assistant. She's a fine art photographer and also has a background in museum work, curating and exhibiting shows. I would like to send a very much needed thank you to Allison. She has been working on the show as I transition into my new role, and none of this would have been possible without her. So thank you, Allison, for all the work you did to put this together. For those of you new to Webster Arts, we're a nonprofit in Webster Groves, Missouri. We host 5 to 6 national juried shows every year, in addition to an outdoor art fair and some other community events. We're run by a fantastic board, and our board president, Davis Allen, is here tonight, and he's going to say a few words about Webster Arts.
Jenny, thank you very much. Welcome, everybody, and special welcome to Jenny Donaldson, our new executive director. I only wanted to take long enough to give you a little bit of perspective that Jenny might not have caught on to just yet, but she's catching on real fast. The 2021 marks the entry into Webster Arts' 20th year officially. We were incorporated in 2001, and our flagship activity is the Arts Fair, which typically occurs in the first full weekend of June. And God willing, and the COVID don't rise, we will celebrate that 18th Art Fair this year, after not being able to celebrate this last year. But tonight is about our art gallery, which has been going for a little over 3 years now. And of course, we did it live, about 5 shows a year, which attracted national applications of hundreds and hundreds, and featured 50 or so works, depending on how many paintings our walls could accommodate at the center, which is located on the campus of Webster University in Schultz Hall. When we go live again at the conclusion of COVID, we certainly hope that you will join us for that and for those events again. Meanwhile, we're doing these virtual openings. This is our 3rd virtual opening, and we have the advantage of those things that virtual existence offers. We hope you're enjoying us from the comfort of your own home. The collection of art is easier to hang. Allison may not agree with that, but she's really collected a wonderful assembly. And I dare say that the quality of the artists and the results of the juror are no less satisfying than they were before. So please join me in looking forward to a wonderful opening and a reveal of these significant works of art that have been carefully curated and presented for you tonight. Welcome.
Thanks, Davis. So for our open theme annual show, we ask artists to submit artwork in any medium. This is the 3rd year we've offered this show, and it has become one of our most popular. This year, we received 682 entries, and our juror had to whittle that down to just 63. And in just a minute, our juror is going to explain her jurying process, but I just wanted to kind of explain the flow of the evening. So as she's explaining her jurying process, we will be running a slideshow with all of the artwork that has been selected for this show. If you have questions while the juror is speaking, you're more than welcome to leave them in our comment section, and we'll get to those at the end. After our jurors done speaking, we're going to announce our award winners, and those artists are on the call with us. And so after they're announced, they will be able to speak more about their work and the process that they use. So that will kind of be the flow of the night, and then we'll take all the questions at the end. I'd like to introduce to you our juror. Her name is Allana Ross. She's on the call with us. She's an artist and educator living in St. Louis. Her work explores the way we construct, teach, communicate, and perpetuate our concept of nature and our place with it. Her work is interdisciplinary, rooted in drawing practices, but incorporating fibers, spatial practices, multimedia, social practices, sculpture, and landscape interviews. She leads alternative educational eco tours. She manages a native plant growing operation and runs a tiny pigment farm. She also teaches at the visual arts at St. Louis Community College, and she was the 2020 Community Artist in Residence at Lawmeyer Sculpture Park. So she is a very busy lady, and we appreciate her time. Welcome, Allana. Take it away.
Thank you so much. This has been an amazing process. I love seeing how arts organizations have made the pivot to adjust to our crazy times, and it seems like y'all are doing a very good job. Jurying was not easy because it's jurying art, but the process of it was very smooth and streamlined and really enjoyable. So it was difficult but rewarding. And as you can see by what's flashing across your screen right now, the breadth and the depth of art in this community is really impressive. I was struck with a desire to see them in real life, of course, but they're, even through the way that they are photographed by the artists, there's a texture that's captured, they're vibrant, and I found that a lot of the pieces were very reflective of our current conditions in one way or another. A lot of them reflect struggle. A lot of them reflected triumph or community in a time where those things cannot happen. And a lot of them spoke about precarity in ways that I hadn't seen happening in arts. But it's hard to go see art right now. So this is a really wonderful way for me to engage with the community without having to leave my house. So yeah, there's a lot of struggle, there's a lot of triumphs in these, and I found that even though this show is unthemed, a lot of the artwork submitted, because it's been made recently, had a lot to do with everyday life's entanglement with the political, so the personal becoming political. And that might just be a reflection of our times. And often there were pieces that I chose that I just was like, oh, this is just a good old escape into something beautiful, or something where you can just relish the craft, like in that drawing that we just saw. Yeah, so let's just enjoy the slideshow. A lot of these were humorous. That dog on the skateboard one, I love it very much.
These are great.
Yeah, but the textures and the colors, a lot of, even though these were reflecting what might be going on in the world, a lot of it I found to be really uplifting.
So what was it like to go through nearly 700 submissions? Can you tell us a little bit more about your selection process?
Yeah, so the process, it was difficult because you feel like you're cutting out things that really you want to include, because I had to narrow it down to 64. So my process became streamlined, it became fast, it became about initial impressions and the art being able to grab me at first sight. And then, of course, some of the things that grabbed me at first sight ultimately didn't make the cut either. So there's the initial attraction, and then further reflection and holding of the viewer once that initial attraction has passed. So yeah, it was different than during a show, not during COVID, for that reason, because it became a you're seeing it on a screen. And unfortunately, I think that means that some art that isn't necessarily destined for a screen might have been cut when otherwise it wouldn't have. So it's an interesting twist to the process and a very different mode of doing it, I found.
Something I noticed is that you picked a very vibrant show. There's a lot of color and a lot of activity and action. And even though it's an open theme, you picked pieces with a lot of energy to it, was just my observation.
Yeah. I think that this was especially hard to jury because it was an open theme. So there wasn't I couldn't cut things out because they didn't fit with the theme. And I think that, again, we're all operating within this bizarre new regime of reality, and perhaps what I gravitate towards under these circumstances is things that have resonance or vibrancy from memories of the before times. And maybe what I need is energy and rejuvenation. So I think that there's a personal, of course it's jurying an art show, like my personal biases are going to come into it, even if I struggle against them. And I think I probably sought out what I felt that I needed, even if that wasn't my intention. So if I pick things that are colorful and vibrant, that's because they made me feel connected to people in a time where we can't necessarily connect in the ways that we're used to.
That was really nice to see all those just now. I really enjoyed that.
They're so good. It's such a good show.
Thanks, Allana, and the rest of the artists that participated and are on the call and submitted artwork. We know it went through kind of fast right now. We're just doing that since we're live, but all of these images are on our website in a slideshow format. And then they're also in an online gallery. So you could actually see like the sizes of the pieces in comparison to the other ones. So when you get a chance, go to our website. It's webster-arts.org, and you'll find all the artists and the work back there, so you can spend some more time looking at it. I also wanted to mention for this virtual reception, we tried something new and offered a cheese board and wine glasses kit to kind of have a virtual reception at your home. So we just wanted to take a moment to thank the people that purchased those. And we also wanted to give a shout out to Allison Schilling from St. Louis Cheese Boards. She, worked with us to make this possible to do. So thank you to all of those people. And now the moment we've been waiting for, it's time to announce our artists, our winners, sorry. We're presenting 2 awards of excellence and then a best of show. So our first award of excellence goes to Laura Boban for her work titled They Never Change. And Allana, I don't know if you want to speak about this for a minute, and then we'll turn it over to Laura to talk about her piece.
Yeah, I would love to. The title is really evocative for me because this sculpture really implies change to me. Like, these are teetering on the point of collapse. The fabric is different with every single pillow. The title seems somewhat ironic. Like, each element in this sculpture is different, and the pillows constantly change pattern, and the precarious lean implies some sort of magic of their staying put. So it makes me as a viewer think about, because what else can I think about, the current state of the world. So this precarity almost falling over, but these are comfort objects. These are soft things. There's so much tension between the subject matter and the positioning of the subject, and then the title as well. So I loved all the contradictions inherent in this piece. It's simultaneously comforting and makes me uneasy. I want to touch it. Even if I saw it in real life, I probably wouldn't be allowed to, but the tactile nature of fibers really touches my heart. And there's something warm about this, but also admonishing at the same time. Laura, do you have thoughts about the title? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. The title is a bit more personal. I think at the beginning it was thinking about patterns of behavior and thinking about kind of like relationships with people, whether that's more personal or in a general way, thinking about sort of the continuation or patterns that continue. I think that one of the things that you can't see in this image, unfortunately, is like there's plates in between the pillows that kind of like adds to this tension too. So there's sort of these dinner plates. And yeah, I think like you touched on some things that I was really thinking about: balance, precarity. At what point is something going to fall over? And there's kind of some humor in it too. So yeah, I think I liked the point of that tension and the lean, and sort of also thinking about sort of vertical orientation and something that just, even though it's trying to be straight, it's not. So there's kind of this other, I think there's a lot in the piece. So yeah. I don't know if, yeah, if there's anything else or other questions you have for me, but
I just want to hear, I wanted to hear the history of the piece, why you chose the title.
yeah.
I am delighted about the plates. Yeah, you can't see it. Now that you say it though, if I look really closely, I can see one.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like you were able to communicate what you want to communicate even without the plates. But so that's like icing on the cake.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think that I was like also interested in forms that are stacked. So another kind of form I've been working with is like a cheerleading pyramid too. So actually thinking about figurative pieces that are stacking, and then also stacking objects too.
Wow.
Thank
Yeah,
you so much for that description too. That was awesome to hear that.
I love it.
All right, well, congratulations, Laura. And we're gonna move on to our next one. Our next award of excellence goes to Beth Peck for her work called Abbey Gun Necklace. And again, Allana, if you don't mind to talk a little bit about why you chose this, and then we will move on to Beth.
When Allison was mentioning that I chose things that are vibrant, I bet the initial attraction to this was just zoom in on whatever she's holding. And the fact that I can't quite tell what it is makes it all the more intriguing to me. So there's a lot of like audience activation happening in this. I love painting and I don't really do it anymore, but it's something that is very near and dear to my heart. And the way that this is painted really spoke to me, because you're acknowledging the material that you're using. This is a very painterly portrait. It's not trying to be anything but a painting. It knows that the best thing that it can be is a painting. And there's a mastery of strokes, and it's very painterly. The light is fantastic. It's vivid. There's a play of light and shadow that's very masterfully directs the viewer's eye, and shows us what you want us to see. The substance that she's holding looks almost vegetable, but it's fluorescent. The glow of it is just so intriguing. It's like peacock feathers. I don't know what's going on in it, and that draws me to it. It's confusing and it's disorienting in that, for that, yet it's very grounded in real life. Like, this is not an idealized portrait of a royal person who commissioned it from the state's artist. So it's entangled, like it makes me reflect upon the history of portraiture for that reason. Like, its entanglement with with class and poise versus the raw reality of everyday life. And I love the subject, and I love the way it's rendered. And I love that I can't tell some things about the subject that make me ask more questions about the work. So I guess my question for you is, what is she holding?
Well, I met Abby and she made these floral clay structures. Like she made these pieces that were just supposed to be like flowers out of clay. And so she's holding that. And she had a tattoo on her abdomen, and I was interested. I came from a children's book background, but I was interested in drawing women with tattoos. I become very interested in that. And she was very tiny. She was only about 5'2", and she always wore this gun necklace. And I guess, you know, unintentionally, I was working with pastels on Wallace paper, and I had learned about Wallace paper, which isn't in production anymore. The company closed down, but I had learned about Wallace paper from the pastel artist Albert Hendel. I had taken a workshop with him years ago, and I fell in love with the paper. I had illustrated some of my children's books in pastel, but I was really interested in trying to do some drawings of women, sometimes with tattoos or bright colored hair and that kind of thing. So there was no real mystery to the thing she's holding, except that it's not that clear what it is. And it's just something she makes out of really thin clay pieces, and they look flower-like. And Abby was running a radio, she was doing some kind of radio station thing. And all the time that I knew her, and I've run into her a couple of times actually in the Twin Cities, and she just always wore this gun necklace. And I was thinking about, it wasn't intentional at all, but do you know that that painting by John Singer Sargent of the woman, holding her profile? She's very light-skinned. I think it's called Madame X, but she has a formal name. I think I decided to light her chest because Abby was wearing a black bra. So I was thinking about that a little bit. That portrait when I did this. Is there anything else I should explain? Oh, and those drawings behind her are also her drawings in preparation for her doing these clay formations.
Yeah, it's just so, it's so painterly for being pastels. Like it's just so, you're painting with them. It's gorgeous.
Thanks.
All right, well, thank you. And on to our next, we are going to announce our best of show, which goes to Meredith Knight for her work titled A Brief History of Inequality in America. So Meredith and Allana, you are up. Allana, if you want to go first.
This seemed like such a timely piece, and very representative of the work that privileged people have to do and undo. The mix of media is very interesting to me. And it appears to be like a very didactic display. Like I can imagine seeing this in a museum and being expected to interact with it and read little plaques that explain what is happening in each panel, and it's the door handles that it is paired with. I love the mix of the media and the way that this is displayed. An exhibit that demands interaction and thought from the audience, kind of like a puzzle that we have to interpret, it's just so rewarding. And I'd love to hear you talk about the choice of these tactile media that you've chosen and what they mean, because of course I'm not sure if being online prohibits me from engaging it in a way where I want to, but I want to spend time with this, and I want to walk around it, and I want to look at the pictorial representations that are above the door handles and try to figure out what they mean. And it's hard for me to do that online, but I think that it's the way you photographed it does make that possible. Yeah, it's I'd love to hear more about the pairings, what they mean or represent, and the process of how this work was created, if you don't mind.
And thank you for that description. And you know, it was interesting to hear you speak about the work. And this piece started initially when I was thinking about door handles and how that for me is a symbol of access to opportunity. So one set is always available to those on one side of privilege, while a second set is not accessible, but it becomes more accessible with time, kind of showing that progression of time going from left to right. So there on the far left, there's not even a door handle to be seen in that vitrine. But progressing to the right, the door handles are becoming more and more visible in the lucite vitrines. And then in the last cube, it has been broken. You can see that broken part, and there is a little shard there on the ground. But it's been broken to allow access to that door handle. And, you know, I think it is important to continue peacefully breaking barriers to allow greater access for all. And then the metal prints above, those, to me, the beginning point was kind of an Art Deco style window that begin as kind of a regimented segment on the left, and then they become increasingly disrupted as they progress to the right. So that was kind of my thinking between the different components, and just thinking about different architectural structures, including door handles and those windows. They're windows to me. And I have a background in sculpture, so I have worked with clay a lot. Metal prints were something new to me, but I'm always exploring new media and trying to see what I can do to fit the ideas that I want to express and communicate. And for me, this piece, I hope that it does spark conversations that question why differential treatment and division among others and groups, individuals and groups, continues to exist. And I hope that it does, you know, create conversations about progress and also taking those actions to make it happen. So did I answer all the questions that you had?
Yeah. And I'm glad that you spoke about the brokenness of the panel. I think that's of the lucite. I think that's a really important aspect to this work as well, is that nobody opened it. It had to be broken.
Can I ask a question about, so it's all situated in a room. Where do you set it up? Or was it set up in a gallery somewhere or some kind of art center and then you photograph it?
So this particular one, I was currently working at the Birmingham Museum of Art, which is interesting that you talked about the didactic nature of it. But I set it up in the studios downstairs there. And I have exhibited pre-pandemic around the country. And so I have driven and installed it in various locations. But this particular installation was just in the studios down in the museum basement where I was working before I began working at my current job at Alabama State University.
Mm-hmm.
Birmingham seems like a very appropriate place for it to be installed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about a lot of different things when I was living and working there, and it was, yeah, this just kind of percolated up.
Laura, I had a question for you about yours too, about the piece. Did you find the pillows or did you make the pillows that you used?
Yeah, those were all found objects. So actually, I feel like that piece was partly an experiment of removing my hand from the work and thinking about how can I take objects as they are and arrange them, and what kind, like what can come out of that, you know? So yeah, they're all found, it's all found objects. The only thing I did was I flocked the bottom thing
Okay.
to make it red, the bottom piece of furniture.
Okay. I love that piece of furniture on the bottom. You found that piece too?
I found that, and then do you know what flocking is? It's like tiny little pieces of fiber.
Oh no, I don't know what it is.
You kind of like glue them on.
Okay.
Yeah, just to make it more vibrant. Yeah.
Yeah. I find it very whimsical, the whole thing, you know, playful.
Yeah. And it's funny when you think about where things come from and then how they turn out, because I feel like it's where it came from wasn't the most whimsical idea, but it turned out that way, which is kind of interesting. So yeah.
And this might be a good time to talk about where each artist is located. So one of the nice things about doing an online reception is we can have artists from all over the country in attendance. So Beth is speaking to us from St. Paul, Minnesota. And Laura is speaking to us from Wisconsin, Milwaukee, and Meredith is down in Alabama. So I don't know if you would have attended the reception in person, but glad you were able to come online tonight and join us. Thank you.
It's been really fun.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, well, Allison, did we have any questions or comments in the chat? I haven't had a chance to look yet.
I'm not seeing anything. We're joined by, at one point it looked about 40 people joined us, and we have people saying hello from the top of a mountain in North Carolina. Jean Hewell Chambers wrote that. So yeah, this would be a good time to ask any questions, but Jonna Karoff, who is on our board for Webster Arts, was talking about Laura's piece and wrote, when I first saw this, it made me think of the princess and the pea and the tension between comfort and discomfort. So another layer to that piece, another interpretation. Judy Crew is joining us from Canton, Ohio. So otherwise, no questions. Michael Potts says hi from Phoenix, Arizona.
We're hitting all around the country tonight, which is super fun.
Yeah.
All right, well, if there aren't any other questions, we are gonna go ahead and close it for tonight. We just, again, wanna thank everybody watching. We wanna thank all of the artists that participated, Allana for your work, our board, and of course, Allison for putting this great show together. So we encourage you to follow us on Facebook. We're also on Twitter and Instagram. We're getting ready to put our next call for art out. It's gonna be a show titled Elevate. So we should have that up by the end of the week on our website and in Cafe. So we hope that you guys will check out our next show and join us back here on Facebook.
Should we, sorry to interject, but should we talk about the theme of Elevate real quick?
Sure, yes.
We all could use this right now a little.
That's right. This next show, we are just accepting artwork that will inspire or uplift people or your community or the world. We just feel like all the craziness that's going on and the tension, like we just really want to be a positive influence and show some positive work. Webster Arts really just believes art can elevate life. And so we're just kind of taking our motto and putting it into our next show.
Thank you.
Well, this is really enjoyable. I wanted to thank everyone so much, and I'm gonna check out the show again, online. It was really nice to see everything.
Yeah, I think this format works really well, and it's wonderful that the artists can come and I get to meet them and talk to them. That's amazing. It may not have happened otherwise. So yeah, thank you for the opportunity to look at some great art.
It was really fun.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, good night. Thank you very much.
Have a good
I
night.
enjoyed this.
Bye.
Bye.